Hi guys, it's Dr. George, and it is Tuesday, Tucked In Tuesday. So remember, put those comments and where you're from. I love to hear where you're from. We have authors tonight, both authors on tonight, and I got to talk to them a little bit, but I can't wait to hear what they have to share with you all. So, of course, you know that this month is a special edition of Tucked In Tuesdays, more than a month for Black History Month. So, thank you for supporting me. Those of you that have been on or watching after, thank you so much. And this is still Tucked In Tuesdays as always. So, we have two books tonight. Our first book is 7 Days with Daddy by Belinda Mays, and she's here. And then we have John Steptoe, Mufaro's beautiful daughters, an African tale, but he's not here. His daughter's here, and she'll tell you a little bit more about that. So, hello, Virtuous. How are you? How are you, Virtuous? From New Jersey. So, Miss Steptoe is from New York, so you'll hear that accent. I heard it the minute I talked to her. So put your comments, and then I'll go ahead and bring my authors out at this time so you guys can meet them. So first is Belinda and Miss Steptoe. Hello, 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 hello. And so we have our authors here, and we have a musician here. And God forbid if Dr. George decides to sing, that won't be a good thing. But you won't have to suffer through that because I won't be singing. But they have a treat for you guys. So we'll get into a little bit of why you wrote the book. So Ms. Mays, while we're waiting for more to come on, tell us why you decided to write 7 Days with Daddy.
So, thank you for having me on. I am so excited. I decided to write 7 Days with Daddy. That's actually my second book. The first book was about my father, and it's called My Amazing Dad. It's a tall tale about my dad. And when I decided to keep writing, because the first book actually started off as a speech, believe it or not, I was in a speech contest. And I won a tall tale speech contest. And long story short, people said you should turn that into a book. And when my father passed away, that's exactly what I did. So when I decided to write another book, I became more purposeful. And on this Black History Month, I am glad to say that one of the purposes was to show characters of color on the cover. And so I wanted to create a story with characters of color. As you see, that daddy and daughter relationship, that's very important. I love my father, and we had a good relationship. So that's displayed throughout the book, and it's actually loosely based on some of the shenanigans that my husband and my daughter would get into when I would go out of town. And at the time, she had trouble with time concepts like before and after and the days of the week. So the purpose of this book is to introduce those concepts to children, but introduce it in a way through a story so they don't realize they're learning. So Dr. George, I know you're familiar with that. You sneak those things in there, they don't know they're learning. So that was the purpose for this book.
Love that. And I see Ms. Rumsey. Hi, Ms. Rumsey from Texas, and Kim and Rochelle. Good evening. Hi, Jennifer. And hi, Joelle. I love when you come on. And hi, Barbara. So tell us about your book, Ms. Steptoe, or your father's book.
Yeah. Mufaro Beautiful Daughters is one of the many books that my father created, and this was his first fairy tale. And it was an African. He basically, everyone describes it as an African Cinderella. It's about two sisters that well, one sister, well, you can say is nice, and the other sister is not so nice all the time. And it just describes their their journey, their story of going to meet the king, to marry the king, because the king is looking for a bride, of someone to marry, and he's going to pick the most worthy and most beautiful daughter. And you know, it's just the journey between the two sisters and how they.
Can't wait to hear it. So we'll get started. Hello, Mike. I talked about you earlier. Hi, Mike. How are you? And so I'll start with the first book, 7 Days with Daddy. So I'm going to go ahead and put that at the bottom so you can write that down if you're writing down the names of the books. And so permission was granted by Belinda Mays, because remember, we don't read authors' books without their permission. We have to get permission. So I always like to see if she signed the book to Belinda, enjoy and share with others. I always like to show that. So here we go with 7 Days with Daddy. There's a dedication. Hi, Miss Fehrenbacher. And it says, Dads are a true treasure. This book is dedicated to my husband, Anthony Mays, who serves as a great father to our children, B and M. I don't, B&M, I guess, are their initials.
That's my
Yes.
initials.
Oh, your initials. So hi,
Mhm.
Barry. Great to see you from Canada. All right, Sunday. On Sunday, Daddy and I dropped Mommy off at the airport. Mommy had to go on an important business trip and would be gone for one whole week. Daddy said that there are 7 days in a week. That means Mommy will be gone for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. That made me feel very sad. So after we left the airport, Daddy took me to the park to play. There's a little feedback. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Yeah. I'm going to mute you for a second, Miss Steptoe, and I'll bring you back. I climbed on the monkey bars, slid down the slide, and played seesaw with Daddy. I had so much fun that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. Hi, Miss Amanda and Beatrice. Hello. Monday. On Monday, I helped Daddy make breakfast before I went to school. We made heart-shaped blueberry pancakes and covered them with peanut butter and chocolate syrup. After we ate pancakes, Daddy cut up fresh strawberries and pineapple slices for our breakfast dessert. I ate so much that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. And you were probably on sugar high. On Tuesday, Daddy took me to the library. We arrived just in time to see the weekly puppet show. We even got to make our very own sock puppets. After the puppet show, we read books and learned all about airplanes. I learned so much that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. Wednesday. On Wednesday, Daddy picked me up from school and we went to the movies. We ate hot dogs and popcorn while we watched the movie. I remember those 3D glasses. After we left the movies, Dad took me to get ice cream. It was so yummy that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. Let me see, I think I skipped a page. Thursday. On Thursday, Daddy and I went to the pet store. We saw all kinds of fluffy kittens, talking parakeets, playful hamsters, slithering snakes, and different colored fish. After we left the pet store, we stopped by the car wash. I got so dizzy watching the car wash brushes spin around and around that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. Hello, Ruby. Friday. On Friday, Daddy took me downtown. Daddy took me on a date. Daddy took me downtown. There were lots of tall buildings and people walking everywhere. Some even had pets. After we walked around, Daddy took me to a Chinese restaurant and I learned how to use chopsticks to eat my food. Then Daddy took me to see the fireworks. I was so tired that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. On Saturday, Daddy and I went to see Granny. We helped Granny pick fresh tomatoes and strawberries from her garden. Granny used the pickings to make delicious salads to go with the grilled cheese sandwiches she made for us for lunch. After we left Granny's house, Daddy took me swimming. I swam and splashed so much that I forgot how much I missed Mommy. Sunday. On Sunday, Daddy and I picked up Mommy from the airport. I was so happy to see Mommy after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole days. I gave her a big hug and kiss. Then Mommy gave Daddy and me souvenirs from her trip. Hi, Lisa. Mommy was so tired, but she stayed awake so I could tell her how much fun I had spending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole days with Daddy. And that's the end. So I love that, Belinda. So tell me and tell them, I think you told them, tell them where they can get the book.
Sure, you can get the book anywhere books are sold and through my website, belindamays.com. That's BELINDAMAYS.com. And any online book retailers, including Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, anywhere books are sold, you can also purchase them there.
Love that. But you have another book. I
Yes.
am God's Affirmations for Little Girls. Tell us about that one.
Sure. So that's the third book that I published, and that book had actually won the 2020 Christian Indie Book Award. And so I'm very proud of that book. I have a little bit of story, if you don't mind me sharing just a tidbit. When I was getting ready to publish that book, I was trying to have it traditionally published, and I sent it off to a couple of people, and I got feedback that the book was good, but they just were not sure there was a market for that. But I believed in that book so much because that book teaches little girls about God's definition of beauty, strength, and intelligence. And it's what I actually teach our children. And I felt so strongly about that book, and I'm glad that I did because that book has won 2 awards actually. And with that book, we have other material on my website that you can purchase with that. We have clothing that goes with that, other things, items. So just really wanting to promote positive affirmations for our kids. Very important.
Love that. And we're coming back to you, Belinda. But hello, Antoinette. She said that was a beautiful story and artwork. And Lisa Brown said, "Oh, I'll read that." So she is excited about that. And so you got a congrats. Someone told you congratulations on your award. So now on to my second author. So the author is John Steptoe, but why are you on here, Buella?
Why am I? Well, my father is no longer living. So my brother and I handle my father's estate, and we keep my father's legacy alive. And I am the model in the book. I'm the model in a lot of his books. So, and modes of keeping my father's legacy alive, I am on to read the book to share his story with
Love that. So she is going to read the book, but there's something special about your book
yeah.
because
Well,
your book is
two
also
things.
an AR book. So I'm going to put the AR information up because kids can get credit for your book.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah. This
Okay,
book is
so we're ready when you are.
okay. So before, like, just for fun to warm everybody up and get everybody. I don't know how many people are familiar with Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, but we have, like I said, we wrote a little song to go with the book, and just to kind of give you idea of the characters and just a little intro to the book. So we're gonna start with that, and then we'll read the story. Okay. So everyone at home can like clap their hands along with us, and we'll sing the song, and you can sing along with us. Okay. Ready? Yes. Mufaro's beautiful daughters, Mufaro's beautiful daughters, Mufaro's beautiful daughters, Mufaro's beautiful daughters. Mufaro's means happy man. Mufaro's means happy man. Mufaro's means happy man. Mufaro's means happy man. Nyasha means Nyasha means mercy. Nyasha means mercy. Nyasha means mercy. Nyasha means mercy. Manyara means a shame. Manyara means a shame. Manyara means a shame. Manyara means a shame. Naoki means a snake. Naoki means a snake. Naoki means a snake. Naoki means a snake. Mufaro's beautiful daughters. 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 Okay, so so here we go. Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, an African Tale.
Yeah.
Okay. Written and illustrated by John Steptoe. A long time ago, in a certain place in Africa, a small village lay across a river, half day's journey from a city where a great king lived. A man named Mufaro lived in this village with his two daughters, who were called Menyara and Nyasha. Everyone agreed that Menyara and Nyasha were very beautiful. Menyara was almost always in a bad temper. She teased her sister whenever her father's back was turned. And she had been heard to say, "Someday, Nyasha, I will be a queen, and you will be a servant in my household." "If that should come to pass," Nyasha responded, "I will be pleased to serve you. But why do you say such things? You are clever and strong and beautiful. Why are you so unhappy?" "Because everyone talks about how kind you are, and they praise everything you do," Minyara replied. "I am certain that my father loves you best. When I am a queen, everyone will know your silly kindness is only weakness." Nyasha was sad that Minyara felt this way, but she ignored her sister's words and went about her chores. Nyasha kept a small plot of land on which she grew millet, sunflower seeds, yams, and vegetables. She always sang as she worked, and it was said that it was her singing that made her crops more bountiful than anyone else's. One day, Nyasha noticed a small garden snake resting beneath a yam vine. "Good day, little Nyoko," she called to him. "You are welcome here. You will keep away any creatures who might spoil my vegetables." She bent forward and gave the snake a loving pat on the head, and then returned to her work. From that day on, Nyoko was always at Nyasha's side when she tended her garden. It was said that she sang all the more sweetly when he was there. Mufaro knew nothing of how Minyara treated Nyasha. Nyasha was too considerate of her father's feelings to complain, and Minyara was always careful to behave herself when Mufaro was around. Early one morning, a messenger from the city arrived. The great king wanted a wife. The most worthy and beautiful daughters in the land are invited to appear before the king, and he will choose one to become queen, the messenger proclaimed. Mufaro called Minyara and Nyasha to him. "It would be a great honor to have one of you chosen," he said. "Prepare yourselves to journey to the city. I will call together all our friends to make a wedding party. We will leave tomorrow as the sun rises." "But my father," Minyaro said sweetly, "it would be painful for either of us to leave you, even to be wife to the king. I know Nyasha would grieve to death if she were parted from you. I am strong. Send me to the city and let poor Nyasha be happy here with you." Mufaro beamed with pride. "The king has asked for the most worthy and most beautiful. No, Minyara, I cannot send you alone. Only a king can choose between two such worthy daughters. Both of you must go." That night, when everyone was asleep, Minyara stole quietly out of the village. She had never been in the forest at night before, and she was frightened. But her greed to be first appeared agreed to be a first to appear before the king, drove her on. In a hurry, she almost stumbled over a small boy who suddenly appeared standing in the path. Please, said the little boy, I am hungry. Will you give me something to eat? I have brought only enough for myself, Mignon replied. But please, said the boy, I am so very hungry. Out of my way, boy. Tomorrow I will be your queen. How dare you stand in my path? After traveling for what seemed to be a great distance, Mayara came to a small clearing. There, silhouetted against the moonlight, was an old woman seated on a large stone. The old woman spoke. I will give you some advice, Mayara. Soon after you pass the place where the two paths cross, you will see a grove of trees. They will laugh at you. You must not laugh in return. Later, you will meet a man with his head tucked under his arms. You must be polite to him. How do you know my name? How dare you advise your future queen? Stand aside, you ugly old woman, Yara scolded, and then rushed on her way without looking back. Just as the old woman had foretold, Minyara came to a grove of trees, and they did indeed seem to be laughing at her. I must be calm, Minyara thought. I will not be frightened. She looked up at the trees and laughed out loud. I laugh at you, trees, she shouted, and she hurried on. It was not yet dawn, when Minyara heard the sound of rushing water. The river must be up ahead, she thought. The great city is just on the other side. But there on the rise, she saw a man with his head tucked under his arms. Minyara ran past without speaking. A queen acknowledges only those who please her, she said to herself. I will be queen. I will be queen, she chanted as she hurried on towards the city. Nyasha woke at the first light of dawn. As she put on her finest garment, she thought of how her life might be changed forever beyond this day. I much prefer to live here, she admitted to herself. I hate to leave this village and never see my father or sing to little Nyoko again. Her thoughts were interrupted by loud shouts and a commotion from the wedding party assembled outside. Minyara was missing. Everyone bustled about, searching and calling for her. When they found her footprints in the path that led to the city, they decided to go on as planned. As the wedding party moved through the forest, brightly plumed birds darted about in the cool green shadows beneath the trees. Though anxious about her sister, Nyasha was soon filled with excitement about all there was to see. They were deep in the forest when she saw the small boy standing by the side of the path. You must be hungry, she said, and handed him a yam she had brought for her lunch. The boy smiled and disappeared as quietly as he came. Later, as they were approaching the place where the two paths crossed, the old woman appeared and silently pointed the way to the city. Nyasha thanked her and gave her a small pouch filled with sunflower seeds. The sun was high in the sky when the party came to the grove of towering trees. Their uppermost branches seemed to bow down to Nyasha as she passed beneath them. At last, someone announced that they were near their destination. Nyasha ran ahead and toppled the rise before the others could catch up with her. She stood transfixed at the sight of the city. Oh, my father, she called. A great spirit must stand guard here. Just look at what lies before us. I never in all my life dreamed there could be anything so beautiful. Arm in arm, Nyasha and her father descended the hill, crossed the river, and approached the city gate. Just we as they entered through the great doors, the air was rent by piercing cries, and Minyara ran wildly out of the chamber at the center of the enclosure. When she saw Nyasha, she fell to her, sobbing. Do not go to the king, my sister. Oh, please, father, do not let her go. She cried hysterically. There's a great monster there, a snake with 5 heads. He said he knew all of my faults and that I displeased him. He would have swallowed me alive if I had not run. Oh, my sister, please do not go inside that place. It frightened Nyasha to see her sister so upset. But leaving her father to comfort Minyara, she bravely made her way to the chamber and opened the door. On the seat of the great chief's stool lay the little garden snake. Nyasha laughed with relief and joy. My little friend, she exclaimed, it's such a pleasure to see you. But why are you here? I am the king, replied Nyoka. And there, before Nyasha's eyes, the garden snake changed shape. I am the king. I am also the hungry boy with whom you shared a yam in the forest, and the old woman to whom you made a gift of sunflower seeds. But you know me best as Nyoko, because I have been all of these things. I know you to be the most worthy and most beautiful daughter in the land. It would make me very happy if you would be my wife. And so it was that a long time ago, Nasha agreed to be married. The king's mother and sister took Nyasha to their house, and the wedding preparations began. The best weavers in the land laid out their finest cloth for her wedding garments. Villagers from all around were invited to the celebration, and a great feast was held. Nyasha prepared the bread for the wedding feast from millet that had been brought from her village. Mufaro proclaimed to all who would hear him that he was the happiest father in all the land, for he was blessed with 2 beautiful and worthy daughters, Nyasha the queen and Minyara a servant in the queen's household. Yeah. And we have
I
one.
love that.
Yes.
Beautiful
One.
illustrations. Beautiful. So hello, Tony. Hi, Miss Ross, Miss Moody, Dr. Knight, and Miss Chapman. So tell me, where can they find this book?
Yes. I would say everywhere, but you can get it Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. You can get it. There's a lot of bookstores. I couldn't even name all of them. And I honestly just know the ones familiar with the ones in New York, like Strand, Books of Wonder. I can't even name. But the best thing I can tell you to do is what I tell everybody to do, because this is what we have to do to keep everybody going. Is if you go in a bookstore and they don't have the book, get them to order the book, get them to buy the book. That's what I do. I go into stores and ask them if they have my father's books. And I said, oh, you should get this book.
I've been there and seen it.
Yes. So if they don't have it, there's so many bookstores that do have it, but there's a lot of bookstores that don't. So I would definitely say go into a bookstore and ask them for the book, and they have to order it.
Love that. Now I want to say introduce the musician because I don't want him to leave as a
Yes. His name is James Garish. So
James.
the,
So thank you for playing. So we're going to do my favorite part of the book, the takeaways. So your biggest takeaway from the book. Belinda, what is your, I want to hear yours last because I don't want it to skew what ours is. So Miss Steptoe, give me the biggest takeaway from 7 Days with Daddy.
uh,
Can I say something?
okay, good. He wants to say something because he's a dad. No, she's talking about
The biggest takeaway.
no from her book.
Oh, from her book. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Well, I feel.
No.
All right, so I think the biggest takeaway is just the quality time spending with her father and her figuring out the just figuring out the time, like figuring out, okay, we're here for 1, 2, 3 days, we're here for 2 days, just but just I just think the time spending with dad is special to
Okay.
me.
My
So that's
biggest
what.
takeaway with 7 Days with Daddy is that sometimes we think things are worse or longer than what they really are, but really, it's just really one small little piece that we have to get through and find her daddy, having that one person to encourage her to keep going is something we all need in our lives. Just that one person to tell us it's really not that bad. You can keep going. So that's my biggest takeaway. So Belinda, yours.
My biggest takeaway with 7 Days with Daddy is that father-daughter relationship is just so special, it's so precious. And so that's my biggest takeaway, that father and daughter relationship.
Love that. So, hi, Miss Eckenrod. And Lisa Brown said, thank you for sharing. And Miss Fehrenbacher says she loves the illustrations. So, now, biggest takeaway, Belinda, with Mufaro's beautiful daughters.
Oh, there was so much beautifully illustrated book. Your father definitely had a gift, and I love the story. My biggest takeaway was just seeing, like you said, that Cinderella story personified with black magic. I mean, that's how I describe that book. But I love the lessons for the two sisters. I actually have two daughters, so I love the lessons of character. Character matters, and that's the biggest lesson for me is character matters.
Love that. So my biggest takeaway from it, and I wanted to say the book also won a Caldecott and the Coretta Scott King Award. So they have two awards on this book as well. But my biggest takeaway is all about perception. It's the way our heart is, the way we see things, the way the nice daughter saw things. Everything was not so bad. The other one, the best was the snake at the end. She saw it as this big vicious thing. And the other one saw it's just a little tiny snake. And because she approached it as if it wasn't a big, scary snake, she had the biggest blessings. And it turned out to be everybody that the other sister was mean to. So always be kind. And so always be kind. And it's not always the outer appearance that matters. So let's hear from you, Miss Steptoe. Your biggest takeaway.
Um, my biggest takeaway is, for me personally, is just learning about what your real beauty is. I mean, we all are beautiful in different ways. Like I wrote the forwards in the reissue books, the book that you have, and growing up as a black girl in America, you don't think that you're pretty. You don't think you're pretty because you see images of other people that don't look like you. And so when I was growing up, and I asked my father, I said, Daddy, do you think I'm pretty? And he said, well, do you think I put an ugly girl on the cover of my book? So it was just like, okay, I guess he answered the question. But and just hearing, like, always meeting people and having them say that this was something that they grew up with, and it was an image that they saw, and it looked like somebody that they knew, or it looked like them. So just having just the self-esteem and the self-worth for yourself to know how beautiful you really are. And it took me a long time to realize how beautiful I am, and it takes a lot of us to realize that. So we are all beautiful, and we have to realize that from the beginning, how beautiful we are. And even the sister.
Absolutely love that. And I don't want the kids to forget their AR points. Now, did you want to say something? I know he had a takeaway as well. He wanted to share.
No,
Now he's shy.
Linda said what I wanted to say about Mufaro.
Oh, okay. She said what she wanted to say. So I absolutely love these books. So this ends the Tucked In Tuesdays month, but I can't open and not close. So on Sunday, I added two more authors. So on Sunday, you'll see this reminder: Christopher the Toothless Boy and No One to Play With. So those are our last two authors, and that'll be on a Sunday. I just thought if we start on the first, we need to end on the 28th. And Ms. Rumsey said, of course, everybody's beautiful. And hi, Miss Pickney. So I always like to close with one little last word, and I always say, if nobody else tells you, Dr. George loves you. Do you have any closing words, Belinda?
I just wanted to say, I think that book, Mufasa's Beautiful Daughters, and the second book, the actual second book of my I Am, one of the things that they have in common, like you said, is promoting that self-esteem because our girls sometimes don't see themselves as beautiful. And so that book talks about the inner beauty. And I think Mufasa's daughter, the lesson in that was about inner beauty as well. So I love the pairing of those two together with those positive self-images.
We might have a couple here. All right. Any parting words, Mr. Toe?
I say to always try your hardest to be nice and kind to people, even when they're not being nice and kind to you, because we're all connected, and we need to realize that each one of us is each other, and so sometimes it's difficult to be kind, but be kind as kind as you can tolerate without being,
Yeah.
abused. Be nice to others always. You never know.
Love that. And Ms. Rumsey, one of my professors, put that your dad did put someone pretty on the cover of his book. So she wanted you to know that.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining. I'll see you guys on a special Sunday. This Sunday, I'll put that out in a little bit. But good night, guys. Love you
Good night.
guys.
Thank you. Thank